it was obvious at this time, by any standards, that there was an offending and an aggressive and a violating camp, and that was the camp of Muawiyah. But brothers and sisters, even if we say this, and the truth has to be said, this doesn't generate any hatred towards Muslims. You can disagree with someone, all the way to the war front. But does that mean you're going to hate the rest of the Muslims? Where did this come from? How did this occur? And finally now we reach the issue of at-tahkim, the arbitration. And we will find the way this arbitration went. When Imam Ali sent some emissaries to Muawiyah and said, okay, what is it now that you mean by this arbitration? And Imam Ali reluctantly accepted this because most of the people who were with him accepted it. Now he had to clarify what the other side wants from this arbitration. What do you want? And Muawiyah says to these emissaries, we appoint one interlocutor or one arbiter from our side, and you do the same from your side. And they will solve this issue in reference to the Book of Allah. And what we will see in the coming khutbahs, we will see how this arbitration unfolded, and how, even though Muawiyah appointed Amr ibn Al As to represent his side, how on the side of Imam Ali, it wasn't per se Imam Ali who appointed the arbiter, it was public opinion on his side that agreed that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari should represent that side, even though Abu Musa al-Ash'ari was not a participant in this war between the Muslims. We will take a closer look at these unfolding events, just as we have taken a look at the preceding events, and we will realize out of it there is not a matter of hatred, there is not a matter of animus among the Muslims. This hatred and this animus comes from the outsiders. And let me remind you, at that time there were outsiders. You think the Byzantines, who had just lost or were in the process of losing their empire, and the Persians, who were in the process of losing their empire, both of them were not looking at these Muslims now consuming their own lives and not any lives. The first generation and the second generation of Muslims, they had their military plans, and they were willing, and they were watching for a comeback if the Muslims gave them that opportunity. And if the hatred and the animus would have consumed the Muslims at that time, the foreign enemies would have had a chance to make a military comeback against the Muslims. They didn't do it at that time, and no Muslim should think about doing it today. We are Muslims in this altogether, and there's no room for this division that is being instigated from the outside and that is being verbalized from the inside. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. ادعوه سبحانه وأنتم على يقين بالإجابة، وتوبوا إلى الله غافر الذنب وقابل التوب شديد العقاب وإليه المصير. ادعوه وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. الحمد لله الذي هداه وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا المصطفى وعلى آله وصحبه أولي النهى والتقى. Brothers and sisters, committed Muslims, it is very difficult, believe me, it is very difficult for a Muslim to recount and recall the details of those defining times. It is very sad to think of what happened, but the fact is that it did happen. And there shouldn't be any hostilities that turn into warfare nowadays because of what happened at that time. Are we not able to learn from ourselves? And can you learn when you're agitated? Can you learn when you are nervous? Can you learn when you are emotionally unstable? You can't. And they were there to help us learn. The side of Imam Ali that we were talking about, they were before the division that we are going to be looking at. They were the ones who were at that time in the middle of these battles. They were repeating and recalling the Prophet's statement, أَلَسْتُ أَوْلَى بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ? Am I not a priority that supersedes the selves of the committed Muslims? And they all responded affirmatively. قالوا بلى. And then he took the hand of Imam Ali and he said, من كنت مولاه فهذا علي مولاه اللهم والي من والاه وعادي من عاداه. This hadith, I think, is known by every Muslim. Okay, so when you Muslim, whoever you are, when you say this Muslim, do you feel any animus towards another Muslim? Remember these people who were fighting with Imam Ali, who were saying these words, and who were saying the ayah in the Quran, النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم, and who were saying قل إن كنتم تحبون الله ورسوله قل إن كان آباؤكم وأبناؤكم وإخوانكم وأزواجكم وعشيرتكم وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله وجهاد في سبيله فتربصوا حتى يأتي الله بأمره والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. They were repeating these words. They were meeting with their, let's call them enemies. They were meeting with their enemies, but they were heated in their discussions, but they didn't show any hatred or any animosity. Where did this come from? It doesn't belong in the Muslim heart or mind then, and it doesn't belong in the Muslim heart or mind now.